The Google Pixel 6 is a high-end smartphone with a mid-range price, costing $200 less than an iPhone 13. And for that saving, there are very few compromises. You get Gorilla Glass Victus on the front and Gen 6 on the rear, along with water and dust resistance, plus dual-direction wireless charging. Furthermore, the internal specs aren't too weak either, with the Google Pixel 6 housing the new Google Tensor chip along with 8GB of RAM. The truth about the Google Pixel 6 is that it's fantastic value for the price. Although the Google Pixel 6 doesn't have the highest resolution of displays in a smartphone, it is still an OLED display that looks fantastic when watching HDR content with great brightness levels. But more importantly, it has a high refresh rate display of 90Hz, making app animations much smoother and is a great option for gaming. Coming from the perspective of an iOS user for the past few years, Android 12 was almost an overwhelming experience because of how many settings I could actually customize. It was amazing for the first time to have complete control over how I want to use my smartphone. Although iOS is a fantastic and well-optimized experience, it is a little bit linear sometimes in terms of how you can customize it. But when exploring the Google Pixel settings, I enjoyed the huge range of choice that was available. After spending more time with the Google Pixel 6, I've become to love its overall design. Now, I think aesthetically it has quite a more mature look for a smartphone, and definitely doesn't look as trendy and cool as something like an Apple device does. But for somebody who cares a bit more about function over form, for the money when compared to other smartphones in its price range, the Google Pix has a much larger display than the iPhone 13 mini and also the more expensive iPhone 13. And the size of this phone is actually more comparable to something like an iPhone 13 Pro Max, where it's just slightly smaller than that phone's display. But with the iPhone 13 Pro Max, that extra screen real estate is occupied by the huge notch anyways. In addition, the strange approach taken to the camera bump actually works very well, as it stops your phone from rocking on the desk. On the topic of the cameras, I've already done a video dedicated to talking about the camera performance compared to something like the iPhone 13. But in conclusion, both smartphones can capture fantastic images. But where I think the Google Pixel 6 is slightly better is with its software options for editing the photos. Obviously, you have your very traditional ways of editing photos, just like on iOS, you can adjust the contrast, saturation, add filters, and so much more. But the Google Pixel has these incredible tools. And I'm sure you're already aware from all of Google's adverts, there is a particular tool that allows you to erase objects. And surprisingly, it works very well. Furthermore, I enjoyed using the blur feature, which allowed you to take a regular photograph and make it look like it was captured in portrait mode. There are a couple things that I do hate about the Google Pixel 6. The first is the volume and power buttons. With them both being located on the same side of the phone, I constantly get them the wrong way round. Whenever I go to turn the phone on, I accidentally use the volume rocker button, and whenever I go to turn the volume up and down, I always accidentally use the power button. A more sensible choice would have been to locate these on the opposite side of the phone, or to change the texture of the power button so you could feel the difference of the buttons. I also think it would have been more beneficial if the power button had a built-in fingerprint reader, because after testing the Samsung Z Flip and Z Fold 3, the Touch ID sensor on those phones is incredibly quick. And when compared to the fingerprint reader embedded into the touchscreen, the Google Pixel 6 is very slow at registering the fingerprints and also can be quite inaccurate and sometimes doesn't register it quite correctly. Something else that is missing is no form of Face ID. And this is a bit of a shame because there is a high quality front-facing selfie camera, and it would have been great for this to have been utilized to allow you to log in and out of the phone. Very similar to what you find on the Samsung phones where you can log in with your face, Touch ID, and also with a passcode. Overall, the Google Pixel 6 is definitely one of the best value phones you can purchase this year. And for most people that don't require the high-end camera performance of the Pro model phones, the Google Pixel 6 with its high build quality still feels premium at its lower price. If you want to see my comparison video between the iPhone 13 and the Google Pixel 6, I recommend checking out this video next.